So as YouTube is celebrating 20 years, when they reached out to me to talk about my YouTube journey, I thought it would be a great chance to really talk about how YouTube kickstarted my fashion career and also give some of the new people on the channel kind of like an understanding of who I am and all that sort of stuff because there are some new people that have joined the channel. So I thought it would be great to kind of talk about how I used YouTube to kind of advance my career in fashion and all those kind of things. Normally, as a young professional in fashion, it's very difficult to find your way or to work at, a magazine or to work anywhere, to be honest, because when you don't have experience, it's kind of like you're in a trap. You can't find experience, but then no one gives you experience because all the jobs that would give you experience require experience in the first place. So you're kind of like in limbo. And when I was early on, when I was in my teens and I was working in fashion, I eventually realized that I wanted to be a fashion journalist. I just didn't see any space in the industry. I just couldn't see how I could possibly get in, considering what I just said. And at the time, I used to watch so many YouTubers on YouTube, like so many YouTubers I was a big fan of. I used to watch Unknown Vlogs, Sanjeev, Magnus Running. I used to watch Show Studio, so many different kinds of fashion content online. And at the time with my friends, I would talk about different brands. I would talk about, different designers, and I'd have deep conversations with my friends who I was really into fashion with at the time and, going to fashion week with them and stuff. And I came up with the idea, why don't I just start a YouTube channel that is kind of these conversations that I'm having. I'm not really seeing a lot of these conversations on YouTube. At the time, the only place where you could really find fashion that was analytical in any sort of way, like the way I wanted to talk about fashion, was really Show Studio. But the thing about Show Studio, though, is it's different people. It's like a panel. You had amazing figures like Mima Veglizio, Finn McTaggart, Lou Stoppard. You had all these different characters on Show Studio, but there wasn't like a singular person that ran the whole thing and like you would come to every day, and that you went there for. And then also there are other things I wanted to talk about besides runway shows and stuff. Like, as you guys know on my channel, I talk a lot about fashion business. That was another aspect of conversations I was having at the time that I just didn't see being done on YouTube. So I came up with the idea to start my YouTube channel for two reasons. One, because I knew that if I could get my name out there and, prove to a lot of these fashion magazines that, oh, he actually does know something about fashion. He does know what he's talking about. He's actually worked in the industry. That would help, me booking jobs. And then also, I just wanted to build a community because at the time, I only had like two friends that I used to talk about fashion with, like two close friends. I wanted like a larger community to discuss fashion in that way. So that was why I started my YouTube channel. And honestly, surprisingly, it really, really went well. I don't know what I was expecting, to be honest. Definitely not how my channel has, blown up since. I definitely wasn't expecting that. I don't think, unless like you have intentions of being famous, which I never had the intentions of being that, you just put out videos and then you get comments and then you're like, this is amazing, we're building a community, and then before you know it, you have more than 100,000 subscribers. It's quite insane how that works. And also, I was able to achieve my goal of booking fashion magazine roles through my YouTube channel. So what would happen is I would make a YouTube video, and as I started building my audience on YouTube, a lot of fashion journalists started to follow me. A lot of editors for magazines started to follow me. Then they started watching my videos. Then they were like, oh, this guy actually like knows some stuff. Like, he's saying some interesting things. He has some interesting points. Then I remember the first time a magazine reached out to me, they asked me, do you write for magazines or do you just, do you just like make content? And at the time, obviously, I started writing. I was about to study fashion journalism at university. So that's how I kind of started. And then obviously when I was in university, I had a chance to work at some really big and prestigious fashion magazines, which was amazing. So really and truly, I know for a fact I would not have been able to achieve most of what I achieved without YouTube. It just is what it is. It's just factual. So I think it's very important for me to tell my story because YouTube is a platform that there's no barrier to entry in the sense that so long as you have internet access and you have something that you can use to film, you'll be fine. There are no limiting factors so long as you have a phone and you have internet connection. Really, you can build a community around anything that you're interested in. It doesn't have to be fashion. Of course, it's a fashion channel, but there's so many niches on YouTube. I have friends that are really successful making fishing content on YouTube. Some people make I have another friend who makes content around Pokemon cards and he does really well. So you really just find what your interest is. And if you're interested, I think it's definitely a good idea to make content and join the family, because I think that YouTube is the opportunities on YouTube are actually insane. Like every time I think about it, that wow, I cannot believe that I was able to sidestep having to go through the industry the hard way where I would have had no experience and I don't know how I would have done it exactly. And I managed to kind of go around it because I was able to build a community on YouTube. And something that's so amazing about YouTube also is the global audience, because YouTube is everywhere. So you can attract an audience from all over the world. Even though I'm based in the UK, my biggest audience is actually in the US, followed by Canada. So it's quite weird. I'm based in the UK, but I have like an audience from all over the world, which is so cool because I normally message a lot of people that are part of the community and they message me back and stuff. And we talk about different things. And I learn about people's different cultures and stuff. So that's always amazing. And that's something that's really rewarding about YouTube, the fact that you can communicate with people all over the world, literally. Now, if you are watching this and you are interested in starting a YouTube channel, building a YouTube community, all those kind of things, I can give some tips on, how to grow a YouTube channel, like how it works, things that you have to do, all those kind of like best tips, things like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen to kind of give you some insight by looking at some of my own videos and stuff like that. So this is the back end of my YouTube videos, just to kind of give you guys some insight. And first thing I will actually say before I show you guys the specifics of stuff that I think about when I make videos or content and stuff like that is one of the most important things is consistency. When I was watching those YouTubers that I mentioned earlier, Magnus Running, Sanjeev, Unknown Vlogs, there was a clear correlation I saw between people being consistent and having consistent growth, and the people that weren't consistent didn't have consistent growth. For people that are real OGs, like old OGs, you would know that this channel is actually my second fashion channel. I actually tried a fashion channel before this one, and it didn't work because I just wasn't consistent and the content was sporadic and it was a bit all over the place. There was no strategy to it. So that's why once I learned all the things that I'm about to share now, I started a different channel. And obviously it worked because I had a deeper understanding of like how to design thumbnails and how consistent do you have to be. Consistency doesn't necessarily mean every day, by the way. Consistency can mean something different depending on who you are. So for some people, consistency could mean filming videos, let's say, once a week. Some people once a month, some people daily, some people 3 times a week. It just has to be sustainable. I think once you start, posting consistently, you have to make sure that it's something that you can keep up with, because if you burn out, which happens to a lot of creators, you end up kind of, before you know it, 5-6 months you haven't posted and you've kind of like put loads of time into, your channel and you're not really building the community you want or those kind of things. So it's very important to take into account community. So anyway, I experiment with all the different content types, as you can see. I've got shorts, I've got live streams, of course, I've got videos, all types of things, right? So the first thing I will say is if you look at the view count of each video, when my face is in the thumbnail, I've noticed that I get more views. So I think the reason for that is every person that makes YouTube content has to have like a signature thumbnail style. I think that's extremely important. Someone who's really good for this actually is a YouTuber you guys will know about. Understitch. Understitch, I think, has extremely recognizable thumbnails. Like the thumbnail style that Understitch uses is really, really great. And so if you look at Understitch's channel, when you see that thumbnail, you know it's an understitched video because of the style of the thumbnail. So I think if you have a YouTube channel, it's very important to have like a signature thumbnail style. Now, I don't, but how I make up for that is by when I do have my face in my content, then that's how I end up getting more views. And you'll notice when I don't have my face in the videos, the views aren't fantastic. Like if we're looking at, let's just look at the last, let's say 12 videos, right? So my face is in the video, this has 12K views. No face 2.1, no face 1.4, no face 4.8, no face 3.4, no face 2.9, and my face is in it 7.4. My face is in it 8.1, my face is in it 8.2, my face is in it 15K, my face is in it 22K, and now no face 2.7K. So I have been experimenting with different thumbnails to see if my theory is actually right. And over time, I've come to the realization that yes, because I don't have a signature thumbnail style, my face does actually need to be in a thumbnail for it to work. Or for people when they're scrolling to know that, oh, this is a Fashion Roadman YouTube video. This is not like some random channel. It's not like, I don't even know what that is. I'm just going to skip past it. It's not recognizable. So it's very important to do that. That's why a lot of people put their faces in their thumbnails. A lot of times people find when people go, there's crazy facial expressions. However, I do think it's extremely important to have a signature thumbnail style. So that's really important because I think thumbnails and titles are the bread and butter of your YouTube videos because that will determine if people click onto it or not. So your title has to clearly state what the video is about, and the thumbnail has to also very clearly state what the video is about, while also having your signature on it, whether that's your face, whether it's a certain style, whether there's a certain color of text you use, or certain images that you put on every thumbnail, or all those kind of things. Those are very, very, very important. Another thing that's important is the pace of your video. So your video pace has to be quite snappy to the point. We're in, an attention economy where short form content is taking over. So even with long form now, the way you edit long form videos now has to be a bit more engaging than it was before, at least when I started on YouTube. So you have to trim the extra fat on the meat, right? You have to make sure that there aren't too many long pauses or gaps between your speech. If you say something twice when you're editing, cut those things out. And that helps with retention rate and watch time. Retention rate is the percentage of the whole time of the video. How long does the average viewer spend on that video? If you have a very engaging video, you're probably going to have a very high retention rate. And any video that has a high retention rate gets recommended by YouTube because the algorithm thinks people are watching this consistently for quite a decent amount of time. This video, there must be something engaging about this video. So sometimes you can even have, I still think thumbnail and title are the most important, but you can have a video that maybe the thumbnail is not that great, the title is not that great, but the few people that do click it, they watch it for so long and the retention rate is so good that YouTube just starts pushing it regardless. And that's how your video can then, find a big audience, right? So those are just a few tips. Of course, you can join my community. The link will be in the description. If you have any more questions about YouTube, I'm always open to answering different people's questions. If you're interested, there are so many aspects to making the right video, down to keywords and SEO and ranking on YouTube search and, having the right description so that you can have the right keywords in your description and all that sort of stuff. It does get quite complicated. But yeah, that's my YouTube story, really. I think YouTube has definitely been very instrumental in shaping my career, and most of you that have been watching this channel for a while would clearly know that. And so if you're going to start a YouTube channel, just remember that authenticity is key. You have to be your true self, whatever you're doing. I have a very monotonous way of talking that rubs some people the wrong way. It rubs people off the wrong way, but it's just the way I talk and it's authentic to me. It just is what it is. Some people are like, yo, guys, but you don't want a situation where you're behaving in a way that you wouldn't behave, because once again, that leads to people burning out or people feeling like they're playing a character and it gets exhausting mentally. So you never want to be in that situation. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. I'd love to know your thoughts in the comment section down below.